What's up, you beautiful people? So I turned 41 years old last week. I'm officially over the hill. I'm on the backside of life, and as a wizened old man, I'm gonna come down from the mountaintop and share with you 41 of the most impactful lessons I have learned the hard way in many cases over the last 41 years. I'm gonna try and keep these pretty short, pretty brief. If you want a deeper dive into these lessons, just drop 41 in the comments below. We'll do this video again and we'll go very in depth. We'll give it as much breath as it needs. That's probably going to be about a 2 hour video though. So if that's something that you want, I need to hear from you people. Otherwise, I'm old. I don't have a lot of time left on this planet. So all right, I'm not going to just make that for you if you don't want it. So, okay, lesson number one. In life, success is defined more about trajectory over velocity. So, what I mean by this is in social media land, you hear a lot of people talking about how nobody cares, shut up, work harder, rise and grind, all this thing, and like take massive action. And one of the things that I've found over my life is that as long as the trajectory is correct, where you're heading is in the general direction of your goal, the speed is really irrelevant because your progress towards anything great is it's going to take a long time, right? We overestimate what we can accomplish in a year, but we underestimate what we can accomplish in 10. And so when you start to stretch out your timelines and your goals to say a 10-year horizon, you start to realize that your intensity on any given day is largely irrelevant. What's more impactful is your ability to show up consistently for a long period of time and keep the momentum and the compounding interest moving forward. And so the reminder here that I always have is that the goal is not the sun setting. Like it's not this big ball in the sky, that this target that we're running towards. Our goal is actually the horizon. And the horizon's never getting any closer. So don't be in such a hurry to get there. Don't try and sprint towards it and burn yourself out. Just make sure that every single day you're continuing to take forward action towards that horizon, because trajectory at the end of the day matters more than velocity. And if you're going the wrong direction, if your trajectory is off and you're moving towards the wrong target, then it doesn't matter how fast you move, you're always going to end up in the wrong place. So trajectory matters more than velocity. That's lesson number one. Number two, story is the source code of the human experience. I've talked about this a whole lot. I learned this in a very interesting way. You know, when I started my entrepreneurial journey, it also coincided with me starting my fiction writing career. I wrote 12 science fiction novels and fantasy novels and really immersed myself in the world of storytelling. But one of the things I ran into was this feeling that I was producing a product at the end of the day that fundamentally didn't do anything meaningful for the world. It helped people escape, it maybe entertained them for a little while, but it didn't necessarily do anything to positively impact their life beyond that 10-hour period where they're reading the book. And I really dismissed that as being a valuable thing for humanity. I've since changed that perspective, actually. I think it's a very beautiful, impactful thing to be able to entertain and to give people escape. I think that's a beautiful thing, actually. But I started to get more into entrepreneurship and business because I saw it as a vehicle for making more impact. And one of the interesting things I came to realize through building businesses was I kept falling back on my skills as a storyteller to sell things, right? To get people wanting to come and buy the products, to recruit team members to the vision and want to work together, right? Over and over and over again, at all areas of the business, I kept falling back on storytelling. And I thought that was just the consequence of it being one of my predominant skill sets. But then in the last few years, what I've really come to realize is that it's not just my predominant skill set, it is the skill. Like Steve Jobs said, the most powerful person in the world is the storyteller because they control the values, the mission, the vision for an entire generation. It's the storyteller. And the reason for that is because stories are how we communicate ideas. Victor Hugo said, there's nothing more powerful in the world than an idea whose time has come. And that's true, but an idea is only as powerful as your ability to communicate it. And we communicate ideas most impactfully through the vehicle of story. It's just how the human brain is hardwired. And so if you want to influence the world and other people, story is the way that you do that. But more impactful, even crazier, is like as you go deeper and deeper, you start to realize that your life, Your reality, your perception of this reality is nothing more than a narrative, a story that you've created inside your brain to make sense of what you're seeing. When you take in stimuli from the universe, from somebody else doing something, your brain is creating a story, an explanation for why it is the way that it is. And then it's living in alignment with that story that you've created, regardless of whether or not the story is true or not. And so in a very real way, story is the program through which the universe is rendered in your mind. And you have this very powerful ability to change that story at a moment's notice to make whatever you want of the universe. And that is a very high level meta woo-woo skill right there. I've done other videos on that. Highly recommend you check them out. But I'm just coming around further and further to the idea that storytelling is the superpower because story is the source code of the human experience. Number 3, I got to keep these a little bit quicker. Otherwise, we are going to go 4 hours on this one. I'm old, guys. I don't have that much life left, you know? Okay, lesson number 3. Oh, these are all out of order too, so I'm going to mess up my numbers. Number 3, attention is your most valuable resource. Everybody likes to say time is your most valuable asset. It's bullshit. You don't get paid for your time. You get paid for what you do with your time. And what you do with your time is a reflection of where you spend your energy, where you direct your attention. Guard your attention, learn to maximize and optimize the energy that you have, and then how you deploy it through the act of focus. You can move mountains, I promise. Number 4, number 4. Failure is inevitable, so plan accordingly. So one of the things that I've learned over the last 9 months, I've shared a lot about this, is one of my businesses went bankrupt. One of my biggest businesses, in fact, and I was fortunate that at the beginning of my journey, at the beginning of my entrepreneurial journey, my dad said something to me which put me in the right frame of mind to take preemptive measures should anything ever go wrong in the future. And so what he said to me was effectively, at some point in your life, you're probably going to have to file bankruptcy. It's like a rite of passage for entrepreneurs, it seems like, at a certain scale. Like you don't run to too many like billionaire oil men who haven't had to file bankruptcy a couple times. So like knowing that that's a reality that might manifest in the future, rather than perseverating and being worried about this reality that may or may not come, why don't we do something now that would mitigate the damage of that thing in the future? So we took actions in that particular instance that set me up. So like regardless of whatever happens in a single business, I'm still alive and kicking and fine. But the same idea applies in all different aspects of life. Worst case scenario can be planned for. You're already thinking about it, whatever it is. If I ask that girl to marry me, or if I move across the world without knowing anybody, or if I take that job in that other city, you're already playing through all the worst case scenarios in your mind. Instead of perseverating on it, why don't you sit down and make a plan? We call this fear setting. Did another video on this, but you effectively say, okay, if worst case scenario actually was to occur right this moment, the thing that I fear most, if it was actually happen, what would I do? What are the actual steps I would take next? Plan that out and then move on with your life. Because failure is inevitable. You might as well plan for it. Try and mitigate it as much as you possibly can, but don't let it dominate your life. Number 5, in this life, you can either be the hero of your story or you can be the victim. But you can't be both, so you got to choose, accordingly. This is simply a mindset shift. When terrible things inevitably happen to you in your life, you can sit back and you say, woe is me, the universe hates me, what do I do? Like so-and-so ruined my life, right? Or you can look at that as the inciting incident, the call to action to go forth and create an epic story in which you go slay the dragon, right? It's not your fault the dragon descended upon the village, but it is your problem. And you can either go and fight it and do something about it, or you can go cower in the corner and be a little bitch about it. It's your choice. I'm just telling you that one of those decisions leads to a better life than the other one. Number 6, consistency over intensity. This is very similar, again, like the first lesson. This is so important, is that it's not about your ability to do 1,000 push-ups in a row. It's about your ability to show up for 1,000 days doing 100 push-ups. That's more impressive. You're not going to get incredible gains. You're not going to build anything amazing by just doing a shitload of work for a very condensed period of time. It's a shitload of work spread out over an incredible amount of time. That is what is going to get you to the top of the mountain. You cannot just jump to the top of the mountain. You can't just sprint up the mountain. Like, it doesn't work that way. You just got to keep trotting one step in front of the other, keep taking the actions. And if you do that on a long enough time frame, you will get to the top eventually. Number seven, beliefs shape your reality. Your reality is limited far more by your beliefs than by the actual reality of the situation, right? Like a lot of people will look around and they'll say, I'm limited by my circumstances. I was born into this family. My skin color is this. We're really poor. I live in this place. Like external circumstances are the reason why you're limited and you don't have access to opportunities. I don't buy that. I have seen time and time again that it is our beliefs of what we are owed, a belief about what we are capable of, a belief about what the universe is capable of delivering to us, that ultimately limits us far more than your actual limitations, because your beliefs dictate your thoughts, and your thoughts are going to drive your actions. If you don't think that you can do a thing, then you're going to think negatively about it. Even if you take the right actions, you're not going to take them with the correct amount of intensity or consistency, and therefore you're not going to get the results. Therefore, it's going to become a self-fulfilling prophecy. Your beliefs limit you more than reality. Work on that, because you can't change reality, but you can certainly change your beliefs. Number 8, complexity is cowardice. Simplicity is a form of courage. Complexity allows you to hide behind a veneer of waving hands and a lot of activity, but not a lot of meaning. And so what I've found is, specifically as it comes to systems design, this is where I first started thinking about this, is that in business, we hear about building systems all the time, right? But a lot of times we build these overly complex systems that look beautiful and elegant, but that are actually ineffective. They break really easily, but they give us the illusion of productivity. They give us the illusion of effectiveness because look just how complicated and beautiful it is. Whereas simplicity requires a certain amount of courage to be able to say, this is simple, it's not fancy, but it's effective. And you can extrapolate this out to other areas of your life as well, where a lot of people, as you start to accumulate wealth and start accumulating resources, they feel this need to add complexity to their life. They get the bigger house, they get the boat, they get the nice car, they get the Rolex, they get all these trappings of complexity. And then you get to a certain point where you realize that that's all kind of obfuscating the truly meaningful things, which are simplicity, like the simplicity of life that you probably already have access to, the things that make life a meaningful endeavor, love and pursuing activities that fill you with meaning and purpose, making impact on people's lives. It's not a reflection of the complexity that you've accumulated in your life. It's actually stripping it all back and going back to the simple roots of what it means to live a good life. And it takes a lot of courage because it requires you to fly counter to cultural conventions. You see the person who rides a bike everywhere. They don't even own a car. They live in a simple, 2-bedroom flat. And you say, oh, they're poor, they're this, that. You have these associations that you make, and you see the person in the mansion with the nice car and the pool and the helicopter, and you put them on a different kind of pedestal. Well, the complexity is cowardice. The ability to strip it all back and say, I don't need those things and I don't care to posture and pose and like play status games and to live a simple life requires a tremendous amount of courage. That's why most people don't do it. Number 9, your story is your ceiling. In the same way that your beliefs limit your reality, the story that you tell yourself about who you are, where you're from, what you're capable of, what people like you are capable of accomplishing, that will become your ceiling much more than whatever actual physical limitations are within your environment. Change your story and you will change your destiny. Number 10, the prize is proportional to the price. The prize is proportional to the price. If you want a big prize, you're gonna have to pay a big price. If you want a dinky prize, you don't have to pay much, right? But just realize that if you want to accomplish great things, it's going to enact a great price tag. There's no other way around it. Number 11, understand true costs. So this is all around the idea that everything in life has an associated cost, right? We just said like the prize is proportional to the price. But a lot of times is that we're paying prices that we don't even realize. And you're paying prices regardless of whether you're conscious of it. For instance, your life of mediocrity, your life of silent and quiet content is enacting a cost that you may or may not be aware that you're paying. That price is the price of your potential, the price of your greatness, the price of living a life that fills you with meaning and purpose, right? And you don't see yourself paying that price on a day-by-day basis because it's siphoned so quietly. It's like paying taxes on your W-2s. You work 40 hours, you get paid your paycheck, and they take out the taxes before you ever even get your paycheck, right? That's a cost that you've paid, but it was taken out before you ever saw it, so you don't really feel it. And yet, in my experience, it is the most expensive tax. Not just taxes, right? But the tax that you pay for your life of mediocrity. Number 12, fundamentals executed with excellence wins championships. It's very simple. Don't get fancy. Figure out what are the fundamentals that need to be executed on a day-by-day basis. Get your sleep, get your nutrition, get your exercise, spend time with loved ones, do the work that actually moves the business forward, execute the things that are within your control. Don't get fancy. Have the courage to remain simple. Just keep doing that. Don't stop. Just keep swimming, 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 and eventually you'll get to wherever it is that you're trying to go. Number 12, belief precedes excellence and failure. Belief precedes excellence and failure. Whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. It's just that simple. Whether you think you can succeed or you think you can't, your belief about that is ultimately going to precede either your excellent result or your ultimate failure. So if you're going in and you don't have belief that you can accomplish the thing, you're screwed from the start. So good luck with that. Number 14, the truest measure of a man is found in the mountains he chooses to climb. The truest measure of a man is found in the mountains he chooses to climb. The mountain maketh the man or the woman. You are judged in life for the things that you've overcome, for the things that you've climbed, the challenges you've overtaken. And if you choose to climb dinky mountains for the sake of getting to the top and feeling like a badass about yourself, but everybody on the plains can still look up there and see you, you're not gonna, you have nothing to show for that. If you choose to climb the hardest, scariest mountain, despite the fact that there's countless other mountains that you could have climbed and everybody knows that you could have climbed those mountains, but you choose to undertake that hardest of challenges, you are rewarded in proportion to the mountain that you choose to climb. So climb bigger mountains, my friend. You were made to climb massive mountains. You're not made to stay in the plains. And if you're watching this video, I know that to be 100% true for you. What are we on? Number 15, life is a song. I was just talking about this with my buddy Zach yesterday. We were playing tennis. I think we do a lot of, I've been using a lot of mountain metaphors here, right? Using this idea that the goal is the horizon is the destination. We use this language that life is a journey. It's a path forward. It's, if I just stay on this path, I'm eventually going to get to where I'm going. And that's actually the wrong frame, I think, because life is not like that. Life is more like a song. And in a song, there is not this rush to get to the end. There's not a rush to get through the verse just so you can get to the chorus. The purpose of a song isn't to play it as fast as possible. It's not to get to the end. It is to play each note as beautifully as possible. And when you realize that today is a note in the song of your life, then it doesn't matter if you fucked up the note yesterday, right? Because worrying about the note that you fucked up yesterday doesn't matter for the note that you're going to play today. For whoever's listening to this song, just stop fucking up notes, for God's sake. So what? You made the mistake. Let it go. Focus on the note that you're on. And the more that you stay in the past thinking about the thing that you messed up, the more likely it's going to affect the note that you're currently on. And the more time that you spend worrying about the notes that are coming up, and the less time you have to spend worrying about the note that you're on, the more likely it is that you're going to play whatever passage you're on. And just by going through the motions, you're not really feeling the music. So don't live in the past, perseverating on the mistakes that you made. Don't fixate on the future and the hard passage in the song that's yet to come, that you know it's coming and you're like getting tense about it. You're like, oh, I don't know, I'm coming to the solo. Don't want to screw this up. Stay where you are. Play the note that you're on as beautifully as you possibly can. That is the key, I think, to living a beautiful life, or at least playing a beautiful, beautiful song. Number 16, manufacturing happiness is a skill. Manufacturing happiness is a skill. You can be happy for no reason at all. I think this is a really powerful idea that if you can be in a bad mood for no reason at all, then you also have the ability to flip the script and say, I can be happy for no reason. People don't look at it as being strange when you wake up on the wrong side of the bed and you're just cranky and you're in a bad mood. And they're like, oh yeah, he's just not in a good place today. He's not happy, whatever. But you don't need to have a good reason to be in a good mood. You could just choose it. You could just say, yeah, my dog died, my car isn't, just got totaled, I got fired from my job, but you know what? I'm happy. I'm in a good mood because I'm alive. I'm still here. I'm still breathing. I'm still kicking. And like, for as long as I'm living, breathing, and kicking, I choose to be happy rather than I choose to be sad. It's a choice. It's a very powerful choice. It's one that you get to make and nobody else can make for you. So stop deferring it. Stop waiting for life or the universe or external circumstances to provide you with the reasons you need to be happy, and just choose to be it. It's that simple. What do we got next? Oh, every step, number 17, every step is right so long as it carries you forward. It's the same idea, trajectory over velocity. Every step is correct as long as it carries you forward. At Escape Climbing, one of our core values was the pursuit of mastery. And we had a visual that we used where we had the sun setting on the horizon and then we had a squiggly road moving towards it. The squiggly road at the beginning in the foreground was big and windy, side to side, kind of representing the path of mastery and how as you're learning and improving at a thing, it's never this linear straight growth. It's always, I'm going over here and then I'm wandering over here. I'm getting better. And oh shit, I'm getting worse. Okay, maybe I am getting better again, right? You just keep winding, and over time that winding pattern, it gets narrower and narrower. So you're moving faster in the direction of where you're trying to go to. And I've always really loved that visual metaphor because in it, as long as you stay on that path moving forward and that path is maybe going side to side, as long as it never turns back on itself and goes backwards, you're moving towards the goal. Now, you might be moving in a very inefficient way towards the goal, but you're still moving forward. So as long as you're moving forward, every step is correct. Don't lose sleep otherwise. Number 18, no sunk costs. So Daniel Kahneman talks about in his book, Thinking Fast and Slow, some cognitive biases that we as humans have. One of these is the idea of sunk cost, the sunk cost fallacy, which simply just says, as we invest more and more resources, more capital, more time into a thing, the more beholden we become to that thing and more difficult it becomes to let it go and start over. I have been working on this idea called from zero, which is effectively the reverse of sunk costs, right? For most people, they'll climb the mountain of life and they'll get midway up and they'll come to an impassable object, a cliff or a crevasse that they simply cannot, on the path that they're currently, get to the top of the mountain that they started on, right? Maybe that's they've rose as far as they can within a particular department of an organization. They wanted to get to the top of the business, but they're never going to get there based off of where they currently are. And to get to the top of the mountain, they would need to take a step back. They would need to go back down the path to the beginning and find a new alternative path forward that maybe, just maybe, could get them to the top. But because they've sunk the cost and the time and the energy to get to that point, they can't mentally write it off. And so they choose to stay there. They choose to set up base camp on the middle of the mountain, knowing that they will never get to the desired goal simply because they can't bear the thought of going back. So if you want to be successful in life, this is a painful lesson, but you can't be afraid of starting from zero and saying, this isn't the path for me. I chose wrong. I'm going to go back to the beginning and I'm going to start again. The people that I found that are the most successful in life, though, they do not have sunk costs. They do not have this fear of starting from zero again if they know that it has the chance of getting them to where they ultimately wanted to go. And when you have the identity, first of all, not as a person who gets to the top of the mountains they set for themselves, but rather you have the identity of the person who climbs mountains, then who cares if you have to go back to the beginning of the mountain? You were going to go to the beginning of the mountain regardless. Nobody lives at the top of the mountain. You don't climb a mountain with the idea of building a house up there. You go to the top, you take your picture, and you come back down looking for the next mountain. So if your identity is built around being the type of person who just climbs mountains, then it doesn't matter if you sunk all this time and energy going the wrong path up the mountain. You were climbing the mountain. You were doing the thing that you were born to do. Get your ass back to the beginning of the mountain, go find the next mountain to climb, and just keep climbing. Have no sunk costs. Okay, what are we at now? Number 19. The price of mediocrity is greater than the price of failure. Um, Most people are living lives of quiet mediocrity. They've accepted their circumstances. They've accepted that they're halfway up the mountain, and that's good enough. Because in their mind, that price of potentially going back down and trying again and failing again, that's greater in their minds than the price of just accepting their circumstances. And this is where people get trapped by the fuzzy handcuffs of life, where they have a good job, but not a great job. They have a good relationship with their spouse, but not a great one. They have good fitness, good health maybe, but not great health, right? Good is the enemy of great. Because when you have good, you have something to lose. And so a lot of people, they'll get to mediocre lives, average lives, good lives, and they'll stop there because the price of potential failure in their mind is too much from that point forward. But in my experience, the price of mediocrity is far more expensive in that you will get to the end of your road, you will look back someday, and you will have to pay the very expensive tax of regret. So you can either pay the tax of regret in the future, or you can pay the tax of discipline of pain now and potentially failure. But just know that the price of mediocrity is greater than the price of failure, because the price of mediocrity is it's costing you who you could have become, your greatest self. That's the thing you're actually losing when you settle. Number, what are we on now? 20? Oh, we're almost halfway there, people. Okay. Number 20, red flags never go down. I learned this the hard way in my business this last year, is when people show you who they are, believe them. If they have red flags, they're not going to go down. Those red flags only ever get bigger and more numerous. Just move on. If there's any doubt, there's no doubt. When it comes to people, when they show you who they are, just trust them and be done with it. Number 21, you don't lack information, you lack implementation. It's startling how little you actually need to know in life to be successful in any domain, really. Like in business in particular, I'm so surprised by this continually. You really don't need to read books or listen to podcasts like this to be successful in business. You need to take a couple of good ideas and just go execute the hell out of them. That's what you need to do. And so the reason you're not where you want to be, it's not because you don't know what to do. It's because you're just not doing it. Right? You know what it takes to be in fantastic health. You know what it takes to have a fantastic relationship. You know what it takes. You're just not doing it. Number 22, you can accomplish anything in this life by becoming the type of person who always does what they say. And this is going to be hard for you as you young folks out there. I struggle with this, is like, you're only as good as your word, right? Integrity is that your word and your actions are in alignment. And when you say you're going to do something, it's very, very easy to not follow through and do it. Now, we we actually have an easier time keeping our word when it's given to somebody else. You're still probably pretty flaky if you're young. Like, don't get me wrong, you probably still tell people, "I'll be there, I'll do this," and you still don't do it, right? But the bigger promises people tend to break are the ones that you make to yourself. And when I talk about becoming the type of person who does what you say, I'm talking about those promises you make to yourself. I'm going to wake up tomorrow. I'm going to wake up every day for the next 90 days at 4 a.m. I'm going to go to the gym. I'm going to work out for 90 minutes. I'm going to write for 60 minutes. I'm going to, I'm going to cut out sugar. Right? Whatever the thing is that you say you're going to do, don't let yourself off the hook, because you're the easiest person to break the promises to, and yet you're the most important person, because your self-esteem is nothing more than the reputation you have with yourself. And if you have the reputation as being a person who doesn't keep their word to yourself, when you push the snooze button despite the fact that you told yourself you're going to get up at 5 a.m. or 4 a.m. or whenever it is, and you don't do that thing, you're eroding the reputation you have with yourself. And that is, I'm telling you guys, there's nothing more valuable than that reputation, that belief that you have in yourself. Number 22, 23, one's willingness to look stupid in public is correlated with your likelihood of success. The more willing you are to put yourself out there in the world and to do things that other people would say is potentially stupid or weird or awkward or like dumb, the more likely you are to find success. For instance, if you're on this entrepreneurial journey, there's a good chance that at some point in your life you worked a job. Maybe you went to college, maybe you had a good career, And when you decided that you were going to leave that career, and maybe you're listening to this right now and you haven't actually made that decision, but you want to, there's going to be people in your life that tell you all the reasons why you shouldn't do that. They're going to tell you that's stupid. You have a good career here. You're on a good trajectory. That's risky. That's dangerous. And they're going to be right. They're going to be right about those things. And at some point, because failure is inevitable, you're going to fail along this path. And they're going to look and they're going to say, "I told you so." Right? They're going to be right more often than they're wrong, but they only need to be wrong once for you to be right in the only way that matters. Right? So if you stay in that game, willing to look stupid, willing to be wrong, then eventually you get to be right. And eventually you get everything that you want as a result of that. So your willingness to look stupid in public is correlated with your likelihood of success. Number 25, environment is destiny. You are the average of the 5 people that you associate with. If you sit with 5 alcoholics every Friday night, you are probably going to become the 6th. If you hang out with 5 millionaires every Friday night, the chances are you're probably maybe not going to be a millionaire, but you're going to make a lot more money than you were otherwise, right? Your environment is your destiny. The people that you surround yourself are a reflection of the person that you're becoming. Also, we could take this one layer even deeper, which is that environment, the physical environment that you surround yourself is destiny. If you surround yourself physically in a home that's dirty, chaotic, and surrounded by crappy foods, you're going to become a reflection of those things. And so in a very real way, you can control your external environment that then helps your internal environment follow suit. So this is creating the environment that's conducive for your greatness to emerge. Number 26, inaction kills more dreams than wrong action. The fear of fucking up stops people from ever even taking the actions that would maybe give them any potential of success in the first place. People are so worried about making the wrong move that they end up making no move. And the only thing that really guarantees a result is to do nothing. Right? Like if you do nothing, you will get nothing, and that's the only guarantee I have for you. If you take action, if you do a thing, you might get the result. But if you don't, then you absolutely won't. And so just realize that inaction kills more dreams than wrong action. Wrong action, hey, at least you did something, right? You can always correct that later, but just standing still isn't going to get you anywhere. So, number 27, rather. You can always start over. You can always start from zero. And in fact, you should have the mindset that every single day you have to start from zero. You're only as good as the work that you do today. You can't be fit tomorrow just because you were fit last year, right? If you don't do the work today that would ensure you're fit tomorrow, you're not going to be fit tomorrow. If you don't do the work today to grow your business, your business isn't going to grow just because it did grow 5 years ago. And this is why, a lot of people in middle age start to get fat, they start to get slobby, they start to get broke, is because I was fit as a 22-year-old. I used to work out. I used to do this stuff. And at some point, you stopped waking up every day and remembering that you'd have to start from zero and you have to do the work. But if you do that, nothing can stop you. Like nothing in this life. Number 28. If it doesn't challenge you, it doesn't change you. If it doesn't challenge you, it doesn't change you. The things that you want in your life, the greatest, most wonderful things that you could have in this vision for who you're becoming, they're on the other side of doing hard things. And those hard things, they never, by definition, they don't come easy. If it is easy, if it comes easily to you, the prize that you're ultimately going to get out of as a result is probably not worth having. This ties back to the prize is proportional to the price. And if you claim that you want big things for your life, you're going to need to be willing to pay a big price. And that is just the cost of your greatness. And that's okay. But just realize that if every day you're waking up and you're not really doing anything that pushes you outside your comfort zone, then your comfort zone is not expanding. Like your comfort zone only expands at the extremities. And so you have to go seeking that out. And as you become more successful, as you become more competent, it's actually quite paradoxical because your comfort zone expands. Your zone of competence expands to the point where I'm far more capable and competent and comfortable in a range of situations now than I was 12 years ago. it's harder for me to find the extremities of my comfort these days because I'm just comfortable with so much more than I used to be. And so, for a lot of people, the reason they stop growing is because their comfort zone outgrew their ambition. So I know so many people who build $1 million a year business, they get a comfortable life and then they stop because their ambition just it got swallowed up by their comfort zone. And I'm telling you that those people are typically the most miserable in the long term. It's the people who are continually every day looking for ways to challenge themselves and therefore to change and to continue growing that seem to have the highest levels of life satisfaction and fulfillment. And for myself, I notice a direct correlation between how fulfilled and happy I feel and how much and how hard I'm challenging myself on a day to day basis. So if it doesn't challenge you, it doesn't change you. Number 29, the challenges you face are preparing you to receive the dreams for which you ask. So you cannot claim, you cannot want, or you can, but you should. Don't want something that you are not yet prepared to hold, right? The weight, you maybe, let's say a really extreme example, you want to be a billionaire. But if you are not the type of person that can handle $1 billion problem, $1 billion workforce, $1 billion tax bill, if you're not the type of person who has built the resilience, the muscles necessary to withstand that, then if I was to give you that, you would get crushed under the weight of your dreams. So just understand that what you are going through right now, these challenges that are changing you, are forging you into the type of person that is strong enough to bear the weight of your dreams. Do not wish for your dreams until you are able to hold them up. Otherwise, they will destroy you. I've seen it time and time again. Number 30. No, number 30. Okay. Words are magic. Words are magic. The word abracadabra is as I speak, so it is, right? We talked about story being the source code of the human experience. Words are the building blocks of our stories. The words that you use ultimately craft your reality. They're the reflection of your reality. And one of the easiest, simplest ways to transform your circumstances, your life, is to change the words you're using to talk about your life, to tell your story. It's simple, but it's powerful. Number 31, you can't save your way to abundance and you can't spend your way to fulfillment. It must be created. You can't save your way to abundance and you can't spend your way to fulfillment. It must be created. I know society would have you think that if you just make more money, then you can buy that house, you can buy that car, you can acquire the thing, and that will fill the hole inside of you. You can fill that hole inside of you with your achievements, maybe. But it's not. It's not as the result of those things that you acquire externally. It's the result of the things that you create internally, the person that you become. That is where the fulfillment derives. And so, as a general rule for life, consume less, create more, because it's in that creative process that you are brick by brick filling that hole inside of you. And every one of us is born with a hole that we feel compelled to fill. That is the path forward to actually filling it. Number 33 and 32. God, this is hard. 32. Risk tolerance expands proportional to one's capacity. If you want great things in your life, you have to do things that other people aren't willing to do, which means that you're going to have to take risk. Because if you do what everybody else does, if you take the common wisdom, common advice, it's been sterilized. It's been as much risk has been removed from that path as possible. Go to college, get a degree, go get a job. That's the path everybody recommends because it's the most sanitized, the least risk, the most likely outcome. The more likely the outcome, though, the less worthy the prize at the end of the day. Because if there's a guarantee of the prize, then that's by definition what everybody's going to be going for. So if you want something that other people don't have, and by definition, if you're watching a video like this, you want great things for your life. That means you want a life that other people don't have. That means you can't follow their wisdom, their advice. You have to go off on a different path. And the more off path it is from the common path, the more risk that's associated with it. Because the fewer people that have traversed it, the less known variables, the more things that can go wrong. But at the end of the day, you can't have great things and do by doing what everybody else does. It just, it's an oxymoron. It doesn't work that way. Now, risk expands proportional to one's capacity. So that path off into the woods is very fucking risky if you have no survival skills. If you don't know how to start a fire, how to make a camp, how to protect yourself from the elements, how to protect yourself from bears, you're gonna get fucking killed really quickly, right? But as you become more competent, you're like, I know how to make a fire. I know how to make how to protect myself from the wind. I know how to what to do in the case of a cougar attacking me, right? Suddenly, that path becomes less and less risky. You can venture further and further out into the backcountry with the same relative level of risk as a person who is forced by circumstance and their own lack of competence to stay on the path that life has handed them. For some people, the only way they can get to the top of a mountain is by following the paved path. The paved path does not lead anywhere worth going. It's all on the backside of the mountain, but you're probably not yet ready to go to the backside of the mountain. And so you need to build your competency, your skills, your resources so that you can go further and further off the beaten path. And there is where you will find all the treasures worth truly finding. Number 33. Life is nothing more than a sequence of seemingly inconsequential Tuesdays. Optimize for the average day. So our lives, we spend so much of our lives planning for the really big occasions, the peak of the mountain, right? But you're only going to spend an hour at the top of the mountain. For most mountaineers, you're going to spend maybe a day, 2 days, 3 days, a week climbing the mountain. And then you get to the top of the mountain, maybe you spend a day up there. You're not going to spend more than a day. You're going to come back down. And so 90% of your time is spent climbing, doing the drudgery, bushwhacking, doing the things that at the time that you're doing it, you're like, I wish I was at the top of the mountain. I wish I was done with this already. But when you look back at the expanse of your life, you realize that 90% of it was the bushwhacking random Tuesday. And so optimize for that rather than for the really big victories and stunning successes. Optimize so that every day you wake up, even the days where there's nothing super exciting on the calendar, and you say, that was a fucking great Tuesday. Like, optimize for the average mundane day. Number 34. Understand the chaotic path of improvement. This is a video that we did fairly recently. I drew out some pictures. I'd highly recommend you just go watch that video. So Anuj, let's put just a link to that one because I think that's a really great concept to see visually. Let's just jump to 35. Number 35, discipline is a reflection of your self-worth. If you don't feel worthy of the thing that you say that you want, then you won't actually take the actions necessary that would lead to that. So if you don't feel worthy of, you won't take action on. If you don't feel worthy of building $1 million, or $10 million, $100 million business, you won't take the actions necessary to build it. If you don't feel worthy of a great mate, then you won't take the actions that would lead you to potentially meeting that person, to having that conversation, to getting married, right? Discipline, the actions that you force yourself to take every single day, is an act of love and of self-belief and confidence. So discipline is a reflection of your self-worth. Number 38, the idea that imposter syndrome is somehow bad. This one's really interesting because what I found over the years is that imposter syndrome never really goes away. Because again, if we think about your capacity expands at the extremities of your comfort zone, then the only way that you can grow is by going out and doing things that you had never done before, putting yourself into environments that you've never been before. And of course, when you put yourself into those environments, you're going to feel uneasy. You're going to feel what we describe as imposter syndrome. And if you take that to mean then that as a negative, then you will feel wrong being in those rooms with the people that are operating at levels above you. You'll feel wrong taking the actions that could lead you to your desired outcome. And you'll attribute a negative a negative belief pattern around that feeling of discomfort. However, if you flip it and you actually say, oh, imposter syndrome is a sign that I'm moving in the correct direction, it's a sign that your trajectory is correct. It's a sign that says, oh, I'm here, I'm feeling this way because I've inserted myself into a circumstance that I'm not comfortable, it's not known, it's not familiar. Then that's a sign that the fear is a compass pointing you in the direction of your growth. So imposter syndrome is actually a good thing to seek out. If you don't feel like an imposter, it's because you're playing small. You're doing things that you know you can do, and you're on the paved path of life to the top of the mountain that's not, I'm telling you, it's not worth climbing. Number 36? We'll say 36. 37. I think it's 37. Financial freedom is a state of mind, not a number in the bank. At the end of the day, and this goes back to the idea that you can start from zero at any given point. If you believe that if you were to lose everything tomorrow, you could have it all back within 6 months, then who cares how much you have right now, right? Because you can just get it back in a period of time that's irrelevant in the grand scheme of the cosmos. Financial freedom is not a number in the bank. It's not going to be this milestone that you cross where suddenly you feel unassailable and like, oh, I'm finally free. You won't feel that. It's a mindset. And the reason that most people, they never actually achieve financial freedom despite the fact that they've ostensibly won the money game is because as you make more and more money, you get it in your mind, like you have lifestyle creep, you have all these expenses that creep up with you, and you get it into your mind that, oh, if I just had a little bit more, then I would feel good. So what started as, oh, I need $5 million of liquidity to feel comfortable, now it's like, oh, now I need 10. Let's make it 10 just to be safe. Then you get to 10, and then you'll make it 20 just to be safe. And as long as you need more and more and more to feel safe, you'll never be financially free. So you see, it's not a number, it's a mindset. It's a belief. So, number 38, delayed gratification is unnecessary if you find gratification in the delay. So the marshmallow test. Everybody's heard about the marshmallow test and the kids. You're left in a room with some marshmallows. They tell you, hey, I'm going to come back in 10 minutes. And if you don't eat that marshmallow, I'm going to give you 2 marshmallows. And what the psychologist found is that the kids who were able to delay the gratification and wait until the second marshmallow was given to them, they were more successful later on in life. Now, I have a lot of problems with that study. Number one is, the problem with a lot of psychology studies is that they're not really replicatable. And this one's not replicatable because there's like so many factors around what are we even measuring here when we say success later in life? What are we really talking about when we talk about delaying gratification? Because it's really a spectrum. It's not like, can you delay gratification? For each of us, we all can delay it. It's a matter of how long. Now, what I found for myself is that if you flip the script and you stop worrying about delaying gratification and instead trying to figure out, how can I find gratification in the delay? How can I find gratification in the work that I'm doing that's ultimately, hopefully, ideally leading me to the place I want to go? And this is, again, using the mountain analogy. Instead of delaying the gratification of being to the top of the mountain and being like, I'm going to be gratified once I get up there, why don't you just find the gratification in the grind, in the hike? Why don't you take a look around and be like, oh, it's actually really beautiful. Look, a bear over there. Look, a moose, right? Find gratification in the delay, and you don't have to worry about delaying gratification. Oh my God, are we almost there? I think we are. Number 40. Do hard things by choice. No, let me say this again. Do hard things when you have the choice so that you can do hard things when you don't. Life is going to kick you in the balls, or whatever the female equivalent of that would be. The privates. That's inevitable. All you can do is prepare yourself to be the type of person who can get kicked and keep going. And you do that by voluntarily putting yourself in the path of hard things. Doing things that you don't want to do, working out, taking cold showers, whatever the thing is. Like, there's all sorts of ways that you can challenge yourself. But I'm continually reminded that the reason we do hard things by choice is so that we can do hard things later when we don't have the choice. When life falls apart against our will in ways that we don't want it to, we're not just weak-willed marshmallow people that get taken advantage of because we can't do hard things when life requires it of us, because we've never had to do it before. So go do hard things now. harden yourself, forge yourself so that you are made of a metal that can withstand whatever heat the universe throws at you. And finally, number 41, holy crap, we made it this far, guys. If you enjoyed this, by the way, you're my people. Hit subscribe, hit the like button, leave a comment down below. Let me know which of these 41 lessons have you enjoyed the most. This last one is, it only ever looks like opportunity. Let me say this again. It only ever looks like opportunity through the rear view mirror. Through the windshield, it simply looks like risk. Whatever the thing is that you're striving for, like when we talk about taking the paved path of life to the top of the mountain versus the untrodden path, going bushwhacking and finding your own path to the top, the reality is when you set off from that paved path, it just looks like risk. That path does not look like opportunity. It's like in the Disney movie where you step off the fairy tale path and there's like these scary trees, it's dark, and there's like scary monsters lurking, right? That's what it looks like when you get off the trodden path that life tells you and society tells you is the one that you should be on. People will tell you you're stupid. And they'll tell you that you're stupid because they see you walking off into a terrifying looking path full of monsters. They can see the monsters from the paved path. They're like, don't go out there. It's stupid, right? It's only later, once you've walked past those monsters, that you're able to look back at them and realize those weren't monsters. Those were your new best friends, right? It's only after you've walked the path and you look back that you can see there was opportunity there. Now, for most people, what ends up happening, if we take this analogy a little bit further, is that paved path of life, as you're walking up it and you see these little forks going off to the side. Most people don't take those forks because they can see how dangerous and risky it is. But then as they go a little bit higher up the mountain, they can actually look down from their new vantage point and they can see further than they could before. And they can now see that path from before from a new light. And what looks scary initially, now they look down and they go, oh, I should have gone that way. There was opportunity down there. You can only see the opportunity through the rear view mirror. And this is why most people miss it, is because they get so fixated on the risk and the terror, the fear of the danger, that they stay on the path. And it's only in retrospect that they look back and realized that they should have taken that path. It wouldn't have been so scary. It wouldn't have been as bad as they thought it would have been. And there's so many countless examples of this that I don't even need to go into the details on it, because I'm sure you can think of some areas of your life where you're like, man, I should have shot my shot. I should have done it. It wouldn't have been as bad as I thought. So recognize that that's just the repeating nature, the cyclical nature of life. And that these lessons, these 41 lessons, I hope you found these valuable. These are lessons that I wanted to share with you guys and with myself, because it's about being reminded more often than it is about being taught something new. And I hope a lot of these, I'm guessing a lot of these just sparked remembrances in you for areas of your own life where you're like, I have learned that lesson before. I do need to remember that, because the path off to the side, it's not as scary as I thought. Maybe I should shoot my shot. You probably had a fork in your roads, fork in the road of your life at this moment. And so hopefully this helps you make a better decision in your and move forward in a way that's what would we say, in alignment with your future greatest self. So those are 41 lessons. Holy moly, guacamole, we did it. Here's to another 41. We'll see you guys on the back end. Adios.